What's up? What's up? I hope all of my soul seekers are doing well out there. I told y'all today I was going to teach y'all how to read this astro chart, and I'm keeping my promise because I know that many of y'all have been watching my videos. I've been going live for like 2 weeks straight, all about astrology, numerology, and tarot. And some of y'all are like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't know what you are talking about, ma'am. So I was like, let's go ahead and pull this astro chart up, and I'm going to show y'all how to read the astro chart. So if you have not done so already, let me grab this link for y'all so that you can go ahead and get your natal chart. So if you're not done so already, go ahead and check the link in the comments and get your free astro chart because you're going to need your astro chart. Yes, I'm so glad you are here. Yes. So I don't know who that is. Your name is Pilom. I don't know who that is. Whatever, girl, him, her, they. I'm glad you're here. So let's go ahead and read this astro chart. Make sure you check the link in the comments. Get your astro chart out and let's get it. Let's get it. So the first thing that you need to know is that the astro chart is made up of houses. So those little they look like triangles. Each one of those little triangle divisions is standing for a house. And the houses tell you the where of the chart. So where something is happening at. So if a planet is in a specific house, then it is telling you where you are going to feel the effects of that sign of that planet. So let's go through a couple of them. Your first house. Your first house is telling you what's happening with your identity. So anything that has to do with how you define yourself, how you show up in the world. A lot of times you can tell what people look like by what sign is ruling their first house, because the signs actually correlate to places in the body. So every house has a meaning. So the first house is all about identity. Your second house is all about your resources. I always think of second house as your Venus. It's almost like your Venus house. It is, well, no, fifth house will be more like your Venus house. Second house is more like your Capricorn, Taurus house. It's like, where do you collect the resources at? How do you collect resources? Second house tells us how you going to make your money. It tells us how you are going to go about being in the world collecting things, because second house is all about the things that you value. Your third house is your house of communication. I correlate the third house most to like Gemini. It is very Gemini energy. It also can tell you about your siblings. So the third house is all about your siblings, but it's also about the way you think and the way you communicate. Fourth house, which is to me the fourth and 10th house, are some of the most important houses because they tell you about your childhood and your home, how you experienced home as a kid. So that's why been telling y'all all week, I can look at your fourth house and what sign is ruling your fourth house, and I can kind of tell what your childhood looked like because that's what you could do. So fourth house is all about how you experienced your parents, specifically your mother, because the fourth house is mom, the 10th house is dad. And it's also, again, how you experience childhood, what you went through in your childhood, what type of childhood, and also it can also tell you what type of childhood trauma you had, because everybody has had childhood trauma. Now, somebody whose fourth house is ruled by Scorpio may have had more childhood trauma than somebody whose fourth house is ruled by, let's say, Gemini, or the tone of it may change. All right. What else? We are going to the fifth house. The fifth house is the Venus. It is the Venus energy house. It's all about creativity. A lot of times your kids show up in your fifth house. A lot of times a specific planet, maybe their rising sign or their sun sign, may have been transiting your fifth house when you got pregnant with them. The fifth house is about creativity. Fifth house is about love affairs. And fifth house is it's really Venusian. It's about love. It's about beauty. It goes to really the sign of Libra. The fifth house does. Venus, Libra. Your sixth house, I always think about the gut, but I also think a lot about systems and processes, because the gut is ruled by Virgo, which is also the ruler of the sixth house. And the sixth house is all about how we process things. It's all about how we experience our day-to-day lives. It can also be a lot about like health. Your health comes up in the sixth house. The seventh house is all about relationships. It is all about who you're going to marry, who you're going to love a long time, who your business partners are. Eighth house, very Scorpio energy. Eighth house is all about death, rebirth, sex, and also other people's money. Thank God for my astrologer who taught me that the eighth house, because I always knew it was about death, rebirth, and sex, had no idea that it was also about other people's money. But if you look at where your eighth house is, it is diagonal to your second house. The second house is how you collect money. The eighth house is how you get money from other people. Ninth house, that's the Sagittarius house. That's my house. And that's all about higher learning, spirituality, religion, long-term travel. You're going to find your long-term travel in your ninth house. A lot of times people will have planets transiting their ninth house when they are getting ready to take a big trip. 10th house is all about your public persona, and it's also about your father. So your 10th house is where we're going to see how you're going to show up in the world and how people are going to perceive how you show up in the world. 11th house is your groups and associations, also very Libra energy in the 11th house. So that's like if you're a member of Brown Mamas, if you are going to become a part of a sorority, if you're going to join your local church, you're going to find that how you're going to engage in those types of situations in your 11th house. And your 12th house is all about the unconscious mind. It's all about how you think. It's all about the things that you can, I don't want to say that, but the 12th house oftentimes can show up as like things that you don't know, that you're not aware of, and blind spots that you might have throughout your life. So those are your houses. And remember, the houses are not giving energy. They don't give energy. They only receive energy because they are telling you where something is happening. So if you got Pluto, let's say you got, let me pick another planet. Let's say you got Saturn showing up in your 7th house. It means that you are going to experience restrictions because Saturn is the planet of restrictions, objectives, getting shit done in your 7th house. But really, I say it's the planet of, I call Saturn the bitch planet because she always just trying to come in and tell you what to do. But if she's in the 7th house, that means you're going to experience restrictions about your relationship. So the houses they receive energy from the planets. They do not give energy, but they are your where. So wherever that planet is, wherever that sign is, whatever house it's in, it's telling you where that's going to affect your life. All right. Next, let's look at we do the signs. Y'all know the signs. So I'm not even going to go over the signs because you know the signs. And we're also going to do them juxtaposed to the planets because every planet actually goes to a sign. So the first planet we're going to start with is Neptune. Neptune is 12th house energy. It is all about the unknown. It is all about the secrets. It is all about the mind and how your deep thinking, your emotional depth. It's all about depth. So let's say you got Neptune in Pisces. That means because Neptune, Pisces in the 12th house, all the same energy. All the same energy. Neptune is Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is 12th house energy because it's all about what's unknown. It's all about emotional depth. It's all about understanding, like ESP. People that have ESP may have Neptune in Pisces, which means they can just feel what people are thinking. They can just feel what people are feeling. They can just feel everything because the depths of what their human existence can experience is just super duper deep. So Neptune, Pisces. Let's go to the next one. Saturn. Saturn to me is very Virgo in energy, but some people say Saturn, I'm just going to go with that because I don't want to confuse y'all. So the planet Saturn. Saturn is all about restriction. A lot of times when people are going through their Saturn return, and Saturn return happens between the ages of 28 and 31, and then it happens again from like 56 to 62, I believe, or 58 to 62. But Saturn is all about restriction. So if Saturn is transiting a house, it is going to restrict you in that area. So if you have Saturn in your first house, what you might start feeling like is like you can't speak out. You also might start feeling like how you identify yourself in the world no longer makes sense to you because it is there to restrict you in that area because it wants you to elevate something else. And sometimes it just wants you to cut that off so that it can elevate somewhere else in your chart. Let's say Mars. Mars is very Aries energy. Mars, Aries, first house. Mars, Aries, first house. So Mars is all about how you experience your identity out in the world, but it is also the planet of war because think of Mars as like an egotistical, self-centered baby. It is out here like, I don't care what y'all are doing. I'm going to accomplish my thing. It's going to bulldoze. President Trump is an Aries. He has heavy Aries energy, heavy Mars energy in his chart because it is all about what I'm trying to get done. I'm trying to accomplish these things. Mars is all about that. It wants to get things done. So let's say you got Mars going on in your 10th house. Your public persona is probably going to be bigger than life because Mars is all about first house energy, identity energy, Aries energy. And it's all like, this is about me. This is about me, and everybody gonna know it's about me, and let's make it about me. So heavy Mars energy. Let's go over another planet. Well, the moon is not a planet, but it plays such an important role in your life. So I'm gonna take this moment to show y'all something. There is the line, and I don't know if y'all can see my cursor, but the line that cuts your chart in half horizontally, the one that goes like this, the left side of that line is going to show you your ascending sign. Your ascending sign in many, many instances is even more important than your sun sign. And I'm going to tell you how that relates to the moon. So in this chart, the ascending sign is Sagittarius. And so the ascendant sign, so let's say the sun, the moon, the rising sign being the ascendant. Rising is just another word for ascendant sign. But let's say your sun is in Capricorn, your ascendant is in Sagittarius, and your moon is in Gemini. The way that is going to work is the sun is how you show up in the world. The rising sign is who people meet when they meet you. So you might show up in the world as a Capricorn, but if your rising sign is a Sagittarius, when people meet you, they experience you as a Sagittarius. And your moon sign is who you are when you are most comfortable. The moon is most closely related to Cancer energy. And so the moon is like when you go in your house and you sit down and you take your bra off, this is who you are. So if you are, let's say you're a Sagittarius rising sign, people are meeting you as a Sagittarius. But if your moon sign is, let's say, in Neptune, you really ain't about that life. Like, you are really not about the Sagittarius life. Like, you can go outside and you can pretend that, but when you come home, you be like, I felt all the things. I don't want to feel the people again. I'm probably going to be in my house for 60 days until I can get all y'all off of me. And so the rising sun and moon sign are the most important. Well, I don't want to say they're the most important because they're not, but you can tell a lot about somebody by just looking at those three things. And then also just remembering, well, I didn't say this, but what was I going to say? I can't remember. It left me. It'll come back. So, but those are, the rising sign, you cannot know unless you know the person's time of birth, or at least I would say you have to know it within 2 hours, because the rising sign changes every 2 hours. So you have to know the time of birth, because if somebody was born at 8 o'clock, their rising sign PM, their rising sign is completely different than if they were born at 8 o'clock AM. And like I said, the rising sign is your representative. So you need to know the rising sign. Like, my rising sign and my sun sign are exactly the same. And so I always, and I've said that since I was young, like, you get what you get when you meet me. Pretty much who I am is who I am. And that is just what it is. But if somebody's rising sign and their sun sign is different, again, you may meet their representative, but that's not actually who they are. So there's that. So the moon closely related to Cancer energy. The moon is very much so how you receive, what type of emotion, what type of emotions you need to experience relationships at their best. Because of course we know Cancer energy is all about relationships, but it has a lot to do with emotional depth, and also like what you need emotionally in order to feel secure in a relationship. So if somebody's let's say somebody's moon is in Gemini, they don't necessarily need all the huggy feely, but they need a lot of communication. Like, they need to talk to you pretty often. They need to understand the way you think. People with moon in Gemini can definitely be, or even moon in Sagittarius, they can be like your, what do they call them? Sapiosexuals, where they don't really care what the person looks like. They don't even really care what the person feels. They just want to know what's in their brain. Like, they're attracted to a person's brain. So that's the moon sign. That's the moon. Venus, again, we talked about this the other day. Venus is all about values. So Venus is what you value. It is also has a lot to do with your creativity. And let's look at this chart that I have up here. Venus is in Virgo. So this person is going to be they're not going to do too well in relationships, because Venus kind of needs things to flow. Like, think of Venus as like the most feminine, Oshun, feminine, joyous, beautiful, pretty, creative, just wild woman. That's what Venus is. And it does not want to have to restrict how it loves. It just wants to love. And so when somebody has Venus in a placement like Virgo, it can be very difficult for them to express their creativity. It can also be very difficult for them to have loving relationships because they'll be so picky that they'll basically miss the boat of good relationships. So Venus is very much so Taurus energy. I also liken Venus to like Libra energy sometimes because it can be very diplomatic in love in particular because it just wants to love. So it doesn't necessarily like it, it will take either side. It just wants to get the love, but it is very Tauresian in that a Venus girl is going to want what she wants. She's going to want all the things. Okay. If she's a Venus girl, especially if she has Venus in a placement like Taurus or has Venus in a placement like Libra or has Venus in a placement like Cancer, this is going to be your girly of a girly of a girly girl. Let's do another planet. Jupiter. Jupiter is the most benefic of all the planets. So no matter where Jupiter is at, it's like basically I'm playing for the home team and I'm playing to win and we are going to win. When you think about Jupiter, for real, the best person you to think about is Jay-Z. Like Jay-Z has very strong Jupiter in his chart. And what did he always say? What do he say? I will not lose ever. And that's Jupiter. Wherever you have Jupiter at in your chart, you will not lose in that place. So if you have Jupiter in your third house, you are a great communicator. Nobody can communicate better than you. If you got Jupiter in your eighth house, you're going to get all the money, but you also going to get all the transformation, all the death, and all the rebirth. But the thing about Jupiter is wherever it's at, it makes it positive. So even if you have it in a place like, let's say you have Jupiter in the 12th house, it could seem like it'd be in detriment, but because the 12th house is also Neptune energy, Neptune wants power, and so does Jupiter. So they get together and they're like, oh, we're going to do the most mental gymnastics in this space. And we're going to think so good that nobody can outthink us. Like that's what Jupiter does. It's very benefic and it's closely related to Sagittarius because Sagittarius is good luck. Most Sagittarians, even a Sagittarius who's had a difficult life, ain't had it as difficult as a Scorpio. Because Sagittarius is just a sign of good luck. It's like bad things, for whatever reason, the universe has chosen Jupiter Sagittarius to be a space where it's just, they have good luck. They'll be in the right place at the right time. So wherever Jupiter is in your chart, look for that. Let's look at Uranus. Uranus is most closely related to Aquarian energy because it is the only planet, I think it's the only planet, it like has a very unique rotation. The way it rotates is like on its side. And so think of that same thing when you think of Aquarius. It is very unique. It is about independence. But Uranus and Aquarius is also heavily about how we collect ourselves in groups. So it is Aquarian energy, but it is also a little bit of Libra energy because it's all about like it wants to give power to the people. That's what Aquarius is all about. Like it wants the people to rise up and take the power in a very independent and unique way. I'm pretty sure all of y'all heard that. Did Uranus the one to change? No, that was Pluto. Never mind. We won't talk about that. Well, Pluto moved into Aquarius this year. And so everybody, this is a time for uprisings because Pluto, being very scorpionic, we'll talk about that one next, always wants power. And it wants power just to have power. Whereas Aquarius is like power to the people. So you put those things together and it's like superpower to the people. So that's why we're seeing a lot of protests and stuff like that right now, because Pluto and Aquarius together is like, we're going to give power to the people. We are going to make the people do what the people need to do to get what they need. And so Aquarius is all about independence. It's all about uniqueness. Wherever you have Aquarius at in your chart, like if you have Aquarius in the 7th house, it means that you're going to encounter a lot of unique people in your life. You may even be a person who meets people from different countries, marries somebody from a different country. Let's say you got Uranus in your 4th house, where you're about your childhood and your mother. Your mother may have been an immigrant to a country. You also may have just had people in and out your home when you were a kid, just all the time. You got people around, which forced you to learn how to create community no matter where you go. And so there's all types of ways that Uranus can affect you depending upon what house it's in. And then I think that is the last planet. Oh no, we didn't do Mercury. So we'll do Mercury next. But Pluto is the one I wanted to go over next. And Pluto, like I said, it's all about power. When you experience that Pluto square Pluto in your 40s, again, Pluto does not care about your feelings. Like, it could not care less what you feel. It's like, we're having a baby, you're dying, he's dying, she's dying. It's like, it's unabashed. It's because it wants to transform. Wherever it's at, it's going to force transformation. And the way it does it is just by taking stuff away. Versus Saturn will restrict. It'll be like, all right, you need to leave your job. I'm going to make your manager mean. And then it'll be like, all right, that didn't work. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that all your uniforms get bleached. And then that doesn't work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Pluto is like, nope, I don't care. I'm coming through. You're not having this anymore. I'm taking it away. Goodbye. That is Pluto. It does not care about your feelings. It just wants you to change, and it's going to force change. So wherever you got Pluto at, you're going to experience a lot of transformation. So if in your natal chart you have Pluto, let's say in your, let's go to your second house, that means you are going to go through a lot of changes in how you work and how you collect money in the world. You are probably going to be one of those people that might lose every job you lose until you become an entrepreneur. Or you may, because it's seeking power. It wants power. And so if it's in your second house, it's basically telling you, this ain't good enough, we're not doing this. This ain't good enough, we're not doing this. This ain't good enough, we're not doing this. This is what we're doing because this is what's going to get us the most power. So if Pluto is in your second house, that's how it will act. And it will act that same way in all of your other houses, depending on what the house stands for. And then Mercury. Mercury is Gemini energy. It is all about thinking. It is all about communicating. It is all about rapid response, because Mercury is the fastest moving planet. It moves faster than anybody else, besides the sun. The sun moves faster than Mercury, but Mercury moves just as fast. And so it wants instant communication. Everybody talks about Mercury in retrograde. Mercury in retrograde just means that communication is going to move. Well, when it's direct, when it's going in its direction, communication is moving quickly, but things are also processing pretty quickly. When it goes retrograde, things are slowing down. And also there's an opportunity for a lot of miscommunications, which is why people say, and when Mercury is in retrograde, don't sign contracts, be careful with the conversations you have, because there's a lot of opportunities for miscommunication because Mercury moves rapidly. And when it's actually not in retrograde. So people think it's moving backwards. It's actually not. It's just the speed at which the earth is moving is not as fast as Mercury. So it looks like it's slowing down in the night sky, but it's not actually slowing down in the night sky. And so Mercury is all about communication and how you communicate. If you're a person that has Mercury in your natal chart, in your first house in your natal chart, you will be an awesome communicator. Also, if you have it in your third chart, you'll be an awesome communicator. If you have it in your ninth house, you will be a good communicator, but it might take you longer to communicate because you're thinking. And Sagittarius, again, Sagittarius in the ninth house, the house of higher learning, is all about thinking. It's about deep thoughts. It's all about travel. It wants to know something until it cannot know it no more. And so whereas Mercury is like, nope, we know enough, let's move forward. Sagittarius is like, So wherever the planet is at, whatever sign, it is forced to act like that sign. So if Mercury is in Sagittarius, it has to act like Sagittarius. It's still going to be itself, but it must act like Sagittarius, which means that it will still be a thinker and it will still be a communicator, but it will do that much more thoughtfully, because it's not about, Sagittarius does not want to just come out and say the thing. It wants to say the thing in a more thoughtful manner. So I think I went through all the planets. Yeah, I went through all the planets. So this is how you read your astro chart. If you didn't get the beginning, replay people, go back and get the beginning. I'm going to do another one of these because it seemed like y'all like this one. Maybe I'll do one on numerology, how to utilize numerology. But get your astro chart. Again, I love astrology because it is how it gives you confirmation for what you know about yourself. And confirmation oftentimes precedes confidence. So once you have confirmation like, oh, this is who I am, I need to change this, or this is great about me, it gives you the confidence to take action either way. Like, I always suspected that I talk too much, and now my natal chart says I do indeed talk too much. So I'm going to use this talking as a superpower, but I'm also going to learn how not to cut people off, because I am, in fact, a talker too mucher. So just think about how the different ways you can use your natal chart once you really understand, and it gives you confirmations for the things you know about yourself. And sometimes it also leads you to have superpowers in areas that you didn't even know you had superpowers in, because it gives you the confirmation so that you can have the confidence. So that's my video for tonight. I will see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be breaking down how to use the natal chart for your children. Because I'm going to do a little bit of numerology because I think numerology is the stronger tool when it comes to understanding our kids. I mean, when I understood my kids' numerology chart, it just opened up so much for how to engage with them. Like my little Virgo baby, he's also an 8 baby, and he do not want to mince words with nobody. When you say something to him, you got to be direct because he is a boss, and the boss do not play no games. And he's a Virgo, and the Virgo don't want no waste. They want to know exactly what the thing is. But this is how it helps you to communicate with your kids. It helps you to understand their personality. It helps you to understand what path they are on, so that you can give them the experiences that they need to succeed in life. And it's just a beautiful tool. So like I always tell people, you cannot worship the God of the stars. Well, you can, because God made the stars. But you cannot worship the God of astrology. You cannot worship the God of numerology. You cannot worship the God of the tarot. God gave us these tools to better understand ourselves. And that is why the ancient Egyptians wrote on top of all the pyramids, know thyself. Because when you know yourself, you can know your reality, and you can also know where you are going. So I will see y'all tomorrow. My goal is to be on here at 9 a.m. and let's hope that happens. Have a great night, y'all. Peace.